Focus on how you're going to use those talents. And what responsibility do we have to use those talents in a way that are helping people that are a lot less fortunate than we are? And I think, again, that's a personal question that I believe we all have to ask ourselves very openly. Am I one of those guys? Am I going to make a difference in terms of stewardship? So I don't view it as, again, these are all opinions. I don't view this as, something nice to do, or, hey, if I had the time, it'd be great to do. I just sort of view it as a moral responsibility of one of the things we're charged to do. I'm Christian, but I've never met anybody of another faith that I've gotten to know that doesn't have those same views of responsibilities we have for those less fortunate. So I obviously have a very Christian slant on it, but when I talk to my friends of other faith, it's unbelievably similar in my mind from what I've seen. The comment about this balance between time and money now or later, which often gets to the view, again, if we're open about this, I'm just so busy now, and I know this is important, but right now it's just a little crazy, so when I have more time, that's when I'm going to be able to sort of step it up. And is that okay that I'm kind of putting this on hold? And what I'm, again, just trying to be very open about this, and folks don't like to necessarily think about this, but I would argue the only thing that's been consistent with me for now, 53 years, Julie always reminds me it is 53 years, and I have to remind her it's 50 for her, it never gets any easier, okay? And there never is more time. In fact, I would argue you've probably got more time now, although you may not believe it, than you're ever going to have. Because as you have more responsible positions, as you have families, as you have parents, God willing, they're alive, as they get older, they're going to need help, siblings that are going to need help, and you're going to be in a position maybe to be able to help them more than your other siblings or relatives. Things are only going to get more complicated. So it really does come down, in my mind, when Aaron says, when do you start? I think you start now, and somehow you build it into that famous number that I always refer to as 168, okay, which is one of my all-time favorite numbers. And for those of you that aren't aware, I will just remind, 168, okay, without question my all-time favorite number, right? Anybody know what the 168 is? It's not my class. We can't cheat here. Anybody? Yes?
24 times 100.
You got it, okay? 168 hours a week. Everybody in this room has 168 hours a week, okay? And I really think at the end of the day, we get judged a little bit on how we use those 168 hours. And when we say, and again, I try to be very open, very honest, very direct about things. When somebody says to me, I just sort of train myself, okay? When somebody says to me, Harry, I'd like to do it, but I can't do it, I just translate that into, you know what? It doesn't rank high enough in my priority list. Not that that's bad, right? Because everybody, every one of us has to have a priority list. But if it's really important, where does it rank? Okay? So, be honest. We ought to be honest with ourselves. We say, hey, I'd really like to do it, but I don't have time. Basically, it means I've got other priorities. And the only challenge is I think everybody's priorities and everybody's values on some of these things could be different. My only challenge is just at least be honest with yourself that when you're enumerating where are these 168 hours, are you being honest with yourself, right? So my opinion, I always stress opinion, right? If you're watching 2 hours of television today, a day, or whatever, or I'd say even if you're watching an hour of television today, there's 7 hours you could be doing an awful lot for an awful lot of things, right? I won't even mention my golfing one because I think it's too personal for people. But if you're doing things where you are not effectively keeping the things in balance that are most important, you just have to ask yourself, am I really focused on, do I have these 168 hours in really the right frame? That's something you really ought to think about. So anytime Aaron or somebody says to me time, I just immediately put that into the perspective priority. Not right or wrong, where does it fit in my priorities? Right? It's like people that tell me that they feel badly that they don't spend enough time with their children. Okay, well, you feel badly about it. Are you doing anything about it? Okay, what are you not doing? So if you decide that other things are more important, great, but at least live life, my opinion, explicitly as opposed to shoulda, woulda, coulda. Okay, it's there, you've got it. What's going to give? And something has to give. So